also put it into
Uh-oh, you froze.
chat bar. So like right worth, but network equals net worth. And you know, but you can hear my voice, or let me see if I can take my camera off. Let's stop the video. Okay. So welcome to network equals net worth. And this is like one of my favorite places to be every month. So Margaret, why don't you give us your who you are, where you are, put all your stuff in the socials so that we can see them as well. But good morning, Margaret.
Good morning. I'm sorry. So I had to step out quick. You want me to put them in chat or where am I doing this?
Yeah, put them in chat, but you can also just tell us, hi, how are you? What brought you to today's class?
Okay. I'll be brief. So I'm Margaret Griffith. I have a company called Griffith Design Build. I'm a residential remodeler, and I have known the rich chicks gals for a long time. And there's a big kind of, it's been coming for a long time, but there's kind of a reset happening with some of my work and some of my just things in life. And when this popped up, I went, oh, look at the universe just dropping a little gem in again. So I decided
Oh,
to join up and chat with everybody. Good morning,
good,
everyone.
good. And anything else on the what you're redoing? I mean, this sounds exciting.
Yeah, I can say very quickly. I, as I've already said, have a residential remodeling company that I have run by myself for the last 8 years, completely by myself. I don't want to be by myself anymore. And for the first time, I'm in Tybee Island, Georgia. And um, while I'm gone, a project is going on. And so I had to hire a project manager and let go. And that has been, sounds like a simple thing, but it has been a monumental step for me to have to sit tight and know somebody else is doing my walkthrough and I don't get to say. So so letting go has been a big piece, but it's also going to be a growth piece because if I do find a way to collaborate, I'll be able to expand my work in different ways. So yeah. Yay.
That's a big deal. Well, great. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
Yay. Sandy Cleland, give us your update.
Well, I am a residential real estate agent with Remax Results, and I live in Southwest Minneapolis. And my update is I'm just working. Everything's going great. We did the bridal fair, um, and we had, let's see, 315 people sign in. And my assistant Maria has been calling and texting all of them. Lots of interest in our buyer classes that are coming up. We have two in April. And tonight, Maria and I are going to do a calling together at the office for 2 hours. We're going to hit the phones. So anyway, it's nice to have somebody to help with all the work. And probably nobody would have gotten called if it was up to me, but she's been calling everybody. So
Yeah, that's so awesome. That's so
yeah,
awesome.
so that's it.
That's it. Okay. Marge Weir, give us your update.
When I'm on my phone, I can't do anything with the little buttons on
Oh,
Zoom.
that's so sad.
Um,
That's so sad.
I am struggling today with kind of overwhelmed, but I got some organization done. I have I have done real estate. I'm segueing out, or I always say that, and I have one house ready to close next week finally, and I have an online e-commerce business, Easy Light Wraps, and that's what I'm struggling with not uh, figuring out the right help to grow. I feel like it's not a control issue, it's a hiring badly issue. And then I bought an inn, and that I finally had my first reservation, like real reservation last night, Mickey.
Oh,
So
that's so good.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yes, I'm giving her a great deal, but it's still it'll be money in the bank. So it's exciting. It'll come around. And I
Oh,
met
it's
the
coming.
Friends of Peterson and got all the scoop on background and know so much stuff now. So that's exciting. It's just a lot to do. And I'll be on my computer and be on my camera in a minute here.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're just
Thanks.
glad you're here.
Thank you.
Andrew, welcome back. How are you? I have a slide of you in today's item.
Oh wow, I can't wait to see that.
I
Glad
know.
I was able to jump on here then. For basically Margaret, who I think I know everyone else here don't know, I do business financial planning here in Minneapolis. Right now I work with clients in 16 states, so everything from Florida out to California and everywhere in between. Um, yeah, I mean, off to finish good last year, at least from a income standpoint, best year ever, so can't complain about that. Off to a really good start, but um, yeah, I decided to get more staff costs, and so now it's looking at what I need to do for every payroll run. It's starting to become really real. And but again, that's kind of like what Sandy did with, like I said, her person helping out. That's why I have them, to really kind of free up my time on it so I can go get more business, better business and that such. So we will see how it goes. It's been an interesting first couple months. It's like, how much do I need to make every 2 weeks to pay them? Okay. So, but it'll be like I said, in the long run, it'll pay off. It's just probably a short-term pressure to they'll eventually, like I said, help out get more and more better.
Yeah, that is so great. That is so great. Well, welcome back. Karen Carson, what's your update?
My update is that I'm still here. I'm still buried in paperwork for the estate. And I'm surviving.
That's good.
Not too
That's
much
good.
more. Reading a lot.
Yeah. Well, we are all glad to see you. That is for sure. Here, I'll start my video of we are all glad
And
to see you.
I'm wearing my necklace.
Yes. Yes, her grandson made her a fancy necklace.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It is.
Very nice.
With all the healing stones.
So we have, again, we have the class that we have today. This is the benefit of coming in live, is that you get to talk to each other. But we also have this on replay. So if you miss something or if you have to bop in and out, we have other people that are bopping in and out today that you can watch it online. So we'll get you.
You froze
That
again.
replay as well. So when you bought a ticket, we'll send of these. So yeah, so Sandy's got to hop off too. So you don't have to worry about hopping off. That you can come in, come out whenever you have. And Kimberly Booz-Gwenda looks like she's popping in for a second. Hello, Kimberly.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
So we're gonna jump in. We're gonna let Kimberly introduce herself, and then I'm gonna jump right into class time. Kimberly, do you want to give us your hello, good morning?
Well, hello, good morning. I'm joining from the West Coast, and I'm a little late because I was preparing for a scheduled power outage. So I'm here with bells on, and my computer is charged. So if I drop, I probably won't, but I'm very happy to be here. And thank you for giving me a minute to introduce myself.
Good, good. Well, I'm going to jump into class. We have still 3 more people that are going to be bopping in and out. So we got lots to take notes on and lots of new ideas here. And Kimberly, you'll see a picture that you recognize as well in today's item because I was with Kimberly when I took it. So I'm going to share my screen. And of course, you can always jump in, put in a question. Karen's kind of managing anything I miss. So if you're putting a question and I don't see it, don't worry about it. But Karen can jump me or you can just unmute yourself. Today's concept is really around limiting beliefs. Again, sometimes it's around risk-taking, sometimes it's around goal setting, sometimes it's decision-making. So I want to remind people that so they are around decision-making, they are around risk-taking, and they are around goal setting. And we also talk about self-confidence, but it is right, holding the self in confidence, right? Knowing internally that you can do that. if you've ever thought about, can I walk around the block? You go, yeah, I can do that, right? That's the self-confidence. You know you can do it because you can visualize yourself doing it. And that's a lot of times what we are talking about when we talk about beliefs, that you know you can do something. Sometimes when you get into a new place, it's scary. And so scarcity mindset will come in when you're scared. So one of the things that I remind people about the word scarcity is that it does require the word scar. In scarcity, and that you really want to think about scarcity mentality very differently. And prosperity mindset is, right, the ability to magnify. Who are you magnifying from, right? What is it that you're there to grow? So we're going to talk about the mindset and the challenges. And I've got a couple of drop-ins here that'll kind of stop you in your tracks around, oh, I didn't know that was under there. And as you've seen me talk about, it's the thing under the thing under the thing that's usually the thing that holds us back. So sometimes things feel real woo-woo of things I invite you to try, but they're actually really valuable. So I have a couple of book recommendations for you today. And your big surprise is coming up next. Watch your screen, because there it is, my best starfish picture of the year. I was taking it with Kimberly Buzguenda. So this is a Pacific starfish. So if you have any comments on that, I'm sure Kimberly will like it. That she generously put up with me going through to visit some octopuses. And that was nice. So today we're going to talk about limiting beliefs. And if you know them, if you have some, you can just start free writing. I really trust your ability to understand when something is hitting you, and that you should just write it down. You don't have to try to follow class and do that. You can just go, let me quick take a note in some random form and do that. And your prize is my second best picture of the starfish that I took with Kimberly this week. They are lovely. And that is that is two starfish cradled by two. Remember, your superpowers are your screenshots. That you some of these slides have a lot of stuff on them. So just take your phone and take a picture of the slide if you really like it. Again, if you just missed this amazing picture and want to take a picture of it, you still can. That's the joy of screenshotting, is you can just go, oh, I loved those starfish. That is in the Pacific aquarium that's in California. So today's today we're I took those in Long Beach. But what is limiting belief? What is a prosperity mindset? Engaging with the voices that are of your limits. And then we'll have some time at the end to kind of chat. When we look at an example of one that, what do you need this class, right? Who needs this class? For those of you who might be rule followers, that you maybe are someone who fears mistakes, if you are having frustration with circumstances that are out of your control, SMAD, for those of you who aren't familiar with my made up word, SMAD, it's like sad and mad at the same time. So sometimes you're SMAD, you're sad and mad about something. So if something is particularly annoying you, you may have past business trauma, you may have relationship insecurity, you may be someone who's just who hates half-assing, that if you think you can only do it half the way, you don't want to do it at all, because that feels like half-assing. If you are someone that's like a stress badge person, that you're like, I'm so busy, I can't possibly have all these other meaningful things in my life, right? I work all the time, right? Workaholics have a stress badge.
Yeah.
They also, if you're somebody that is scrolling, right? If that's what you're doing, if you find yourself losing 3 hours a day to video games or playing solitaire or things like that, then this is a good one for you, because it gives us the point of, right, that you're ready to change your mentality and you're ready to upgrade. So when we look at that, right, I think about that for everyone. And this is where you can just start to kind of write down in your journal, right? Can you remember a time? Can you remember a time that you knew, like you saw it, right? That you had a limiting belief that affected your decision making, and how did that impact your outcome, right? And I'm watching those pens write down, because you did, right? You know there was a time when you go, oh, I had this limiting belief. And sometimes that limiting belief is, I'll give you one from somebody else in class that was, she was afraid to knock on doors. That she was a delivery driver and she was afraid to knock on the wrong to knock on, but that looks like it's a no door. And she's like, had to really think about the courage. And she's like, no, Mickey would make me go knock on that door. And she did. And it was the right door. So sometimes we're just afraid, or we're unsure, and so I would write down what that limiting belief was for yourself, because we want to come back to it. We want to come back and look at it together. In today's class, right, you have one key. That's the only thing that needs to be on your key ring today, is one. And that is that you are open to challenging and reframing the beliefs that you have right now about your business and the success of that. That's the key that you have to be willing to put in the door. And I call that Shakina's door, because that is actually Shakina's story. That, she was afraid to knock on that door. And when we look at that, that is the one key you have to decide that you will pick up, is that you will be willing to reframe. Have a lot of success already. Everyone that comes into these classes, whether you're coming in a video format as a replay, or whether you're here live, all of you have already had success. So you have an idea that that's how you make more success. But that's also called a false peak, right? So a false peak is when you think you're at the top, or you think you know a body of knowledge, and you go, oh, I'm actually only halfway there, right? This is the hardest part about mountain climbing, is that we have this idea in our head that it's only this much further, and then you get there and you go, oh my gosh, right? I'm gonna kind of tear down the walls, because emotionally I only had enough energy to get to this peak, and I actually have to go this much further. So a false peak is where a lot of people stand in their knowledge base. So if you're open to change, you get to have what I lovingly call as the Mickey Christmas morning every day, right? Where you go, oh my gosh, life is a box of gifts every day. Yay. And that comes from a practice, right? If you are open to picking up that key, if you are open to being willing to change, this is about your ability. And this is where I would screenshot this, because this is Mickey Love right here, right? It is, you must find the ability to communicate effectively with your own ideas and actions, so that they leave a lasting impact on every part of your life. Many of you who have been in buddy calls before, when we look at the types of things have to kind of the DNA of this, is about emotionally present. So when we look at effectively communicating with ourselves, it's not just delivering a message that change is possible, but it's with your values and your emotions that are always going to lead towards that positive outcome. It is a special dance. It is the ceremony of your life. When you want to break limiting beliefs, you have to go in and effectively communicate with yourself. So it's not just going, hey, here's my goal. You have to communicate with yourself with a capital S, your highest self, that change is possible. And then it's building around the things, right? Resonating. Resonating means that I feel it all the way in the deepest parts of me, that it hits my values, that a lot of times emotions, when they're reckless, are really hard to live with. But a lot of times emotions are also the tools for our highest self to talk to us, right? If you've ever had a gut check, you know it, right? If you've ever just instinctively known that the map says I should turn right, but I know it's left, right? Those are the benefits of intuition and emotion. So if you're open to change, you must really find within yourself the ability to effectively communicate. And one of the things I'm going to give you is just this little assignment on the next page. And oh, and randomly, Kimberly was at this photo too. This is from the retreat we did last year. This is a cacao ceremony. If you haven't learned what a cacao ceremony is, it is a magical ceremony, best done in the desert, best done at night. It's an evening ceremony, but it is a sacred ceremony that you might enjoy. So this is from that retreat. But here's your little assignment. And that is that you're going to want to create a highest good statement for yourself. Now, a lot of people do a lot of different statements, but this is very different. It's to say, what is the one thing that is in my highest good as not a business owner or a parent or all these other roles? What is in my highest good as a living, breathing being? Right? And this is mine. I mean, this is like the reason you have it is this is mine, but you don't have to have mine. You can make yours. But it is for me, right, that I have to pay attention to all of those steady, gentle, loving light that I am in the world, that I have to pay attention to that. And sometimes that's just me, talking to the turkey that just got murdered in our neighborhood, right? And anyone who lives in Southwest knows about this turkey, but that the turkey and I had a lot of time together, right? That's a gentle, steady, loving light, because you don't know how long anything's going to last, right? That the gentle, loving light that I am in the world is sometimes just giving somebody some kudos or writing a card or whatever. You're going to look at what is in your highest good. And I would be generous with that statement, because all the money and all the wisdom in the world doesn't actually add up to you feeling good about how you share your energy and how your energy is able to magnify, and how your energy is feed that creativity in order for it to feed everything else. So we have to feed the magic before we can give the magic. So when we look at limiting beliefs, these are, and I chose this image on purpose. I colored this image on purpose for you. Janet Mills, who loves it when I put in pictures, she loves our slides, but I put in this image with that tint on purpose. And that's because limiting beliefs are any self-deprecating thoughts that are going to hold you back from growing as a person, right? Any thoughts that help you grow as a person. And we're going to talk about the other side of that coin from a prosperity mindset. But a lot of times we don't see our limiting beliefs because they are actually just a little kind of saran wrap film on our own self-identity, that we don't want to unmask what is there to see the real picture, because somehow we like that about ourselves, or it's in conflict with our own self-identity. And that's why we're doing this. It's why we're looking at what are the limiting beliefs, because a lot of times they're hiding in plain sight, and they're there because they somehow are in conflict with our self-identity. So sometimes these are little items that are rubbed on in love and devotion. These are things that we got rubbed on us from our life. These are things that our parents gave us, that they gave it to us, sometimes in the form of religion, sometimes you got it from a school teacher, that we get it in a lot of different ways. And you as an adult get to choose what is it that is working for you. So these are often false accusations, and they make you think about yourself in a way that will create negativity. So when I say bring loving thoughts forward, it is, right? These are, sometimes we are accusing ourselves in ways that make us feel negative or make our actions feel negative. And we see this a lot in people who are trying to prove something. If you've ever met somebody who you can tell they're just trying to prove something, it's because they don't actually have their beliefs sorted out. Beliefs that are stemming from a negative state of mind. And that is what today is, right? This is the gift and the love that I want to give you, is you on you, is that you're looking at beliefs that are hindering you specifically from new opportunities or life experiences, or that are dragging your mental health down. And so it's really learning how to cultivate a prosperity mindset. And that that's switching, right, from the scar, right? The scar and scarcity. And this is actually a picture of this year's glamping tent. So this is Janet Mills, who came to do a meeting with me in the glamping tent. So one of the things that I love about the glamping tent is you can walk into it and you're like, really, you're just in my backyard. And this is a tent that we ordered from
Mickey, you keep
Walmart,
coming
right?
in
You're in
and
a
out.
Walmart tent in somebody's bed. Oh, fun. Oh, okay. So this is a tent that's in my backyard, and you know, you just go, oh, this is a tent, but it's really this magical place that you can go to, right? It's filled with things that are fun and exciting, but it's cultivating a prosperity mindset even when it doesn't make sense. So cultivating a prosperity mindset is what we're here to do. We're switching from the scarring of scarcity mentality to the abundance of everyday situations. So the glamping tent is one of those things that the reality of that is that it's just a tent in my backyard. But when you walk in, you feel like, oh my gosh, this is so abundant. This is so life-filling. And our goal today is to really look at those anti-limiting beliefs, those thoughts that give strength and opportunity to you growing as a person. And I am, as we're to work on the sound bite coming in a different way. So the internet keeps dropping in and out for you. So I'm going to use Karen Carson's link and jump in again. So you'll see me twice, I think. So anti-limiting beliefs are ones that give strength and opportunity. And let's try this.
Recording in progress.
Okay.
Okay. Is this better?
You have an echo.
I have an echo.
Yeah.
Okay. Has the echo reduced?
No.
It's better, but I think you'll have an echo as long as you have that previous screen. Are you able to get off of that one, or will the whole meeting drop?
No, that it will go out.
Mm.
Okay, let me see if I can.
Can you mute yourself on the, oh, you did.
Yeah. Okay,
There you go.
let's see if this works.
That
And
sounds
you
good.
can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll try it this way and see what happens. So, anti-limiting beliefs are thoughts that give you strength and opportunity for you growing as a person. And that's what we're hoping to do, right? Is we're there to grow you as a person. Your power is in staying open and taking ownership of your own path. And that is the key, right? It's the key is being emotionally present, and that's a practiced behavior. And that practiced behavior means that it's something that you have to do on a regular basis. It's every day. That you, for those of you who want to be a good runner, you have to practice running. For those of you who want this other thing, you have to practice being you. And so learning to be emotionally present is something that you really have to check in with regularly. And so today we're going to kind of do that sniff test, right? Are you repeating things that really don't do you any good? So when we look at that, are you noticing that the things that you're speaking into your mind are the same things that you were speaking into your mind just 1 year ago? So I'll use one that we heard a long time, right? I don't have a newsletter that works. I never have time to do something. This is one of those questions where I would go, are any of these questions ones that I have said last year? If they are, then you want to look at it, right? How come I never stay on budget? Or I don't have time for social media. I can't afford help. These are things that may be negative impacting you. And this is an easy graph last year. And what is it that you said to yourself last year that you are still saying to yourself this year? And you want to really put power into, right, a new set of balloons popping up. Your power is in inserting new ideas and beliefs that can pop up quickly. You want things that can pop up quickly. And that pop up quickly means that you have to do the work of actually, you have to do the work of the daily practice. And the daily practice is around understanding and having that very personal conversation with yourself on what is my limiting belief. But it's also to say, what happens when I ask myself a different question, and then staying quiet and actually answering the question, and then answering the question, right? The power is inserting new things. But those new things, you have to give time to. You have to give time to. So this is Mecca, and Mecca, this is her first art show. This was 1 month ago. And this is really one of the clues that she and I talked about in her art as a 16-year-old artist, right? I asked her, how did it feel 3 hours ago when we were hanging all of this stuff up? And she's like, I wanted to hide. I wanted to hide. Human nature likes to be assured that our beliefs about ourselves and our art will not be challenged, right? And your art is just the same as her art, right? She's hanging it on the wall, you're hanging your sign out, right? We don't want our beliefs that are here that we're practiced and comfortable with to be challenged. So we like to hide in safe places. This is sometimes why we stay in our office. This is sometimes why we don't make new partnerships. This is sometimes why we don't go out into the world, is because we want to be assured that our beliefs will not be challenged. So this is where you get to test yourself. So we're going to have 4 questions. And I'm going to take a breath for you. And you get to write down your thoughts on what is the belief that was being revealed to you from asking the question. And they will reveal. So pay attention to what pops into your mind. And then I'm going to connect back to all of us when we get done with all 4 questions. So the first question I have made in my life. And you really want to not just hear my voice of that, but you want to ask yourself that question. And so I would verbally ask yourself or state the statement. I am proud of the awards and achievements I have made in my life. So this is where I should see your mouth moving. This is where I should see you, all of your little mouths should be moving, because this is where you actually, if it comes out of you, it will do its job. It's
I am
really
proud of
easy
the
to
awards and achievements
hide.
I have made in my life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am proud. You have to say it. Very good. Very good. I'm watching Sandy say it. See, you want to be able to say those things and then feel it for you. So you don't have to take it off of mute. You can say it to yourself in your little spot. You can say it to yourself in your little spot, but again, you want to be able to say the words and feel the resonance. This year, I will have a huge positive impact on my family moving forward on their dreams. Oh, and we're having a party. Right, right. Oh, and we're having a party. And I would think about how that makes you feel, right? It's the resonance. And I have some thumbs up, so I know you're really doing it. This year, I will make $350,000 of income and love it. Right? Don't be afraid to actually speak it. That is what you want, because that's the clue. For those of you who just are like, I'll say it later when you're not looking at me on Zoom, you want to say it alive to yourself because you want the feeling that it gives you. If it feels as though it is, right, and I love it, right? I mean, and I love it, that whatever pictures come to mind, those are your limiting beliefs presenting the opportunity for you. So if you say a statement like this, like stating a big goal, and it feels disgusting, you're like, I don't have the infrastructure, I don't have this, I don't have whatever. Those are the messages. That feels out of touch. I don't even make 70, or I don't even have this. Whatever is coming to mind, you want to write those things down. So I'm just going to go review from the first time, right? I am proud of the awards and achievements I made in my life. If there is anything that feels lacking, you want to address that, right? Have I made the achievements that were right for me? Sometimes the achievements that we have are around money, but sometimes the achievements are that I forgot that I wanted to drive in a convertible along the coast, right? Sometimes people have never seen Paris. Sometimes people forgot that they wanted to have picnic lunches on Fridays, right? Am I proud of the things? Sometimes our achievements are that we take the time to drink from the well of our life. Have I done that, right? Am I proud of the achievements I made in my life? And many times that is sometimes going back through and going, I didn't write down my journey. I didn't remember this other thing. I've lost touch with people. So there are many types of limiting beliefs that are hiding just a little bit under, right? This year, I'm going to have a huge impact on my family. That you could have that as being community, that can be your business, that can be anything, right? This year, I'm going to have a huge positive impact. It could be family, it could be community, it could be business. But those things are going to move forward on the dreams. Sometimes I remind people about why your dream is important is because it gives other their dream. That is there a way that your dream actually gives someone else their dream? Right? I'm a welfare mom, you guys. I'm a welfare to work mom. That sometimes just knowing that helps someone else go, oh, and here she is a 2-time winner as the top woman in finance. How does that happen? Right? When I started on my goal, my income was $409 a month with food stamps. How is it? Right? So your dream helps someone else have a dream. The reason that I say pick an income goal that feels ridiculous is that if you pick a number that is high that it makes your stomach churn, you know you've got some work to do. And by the way, I picked a number that's only in the top 1%, right? 350,000. That is the top 1% of who is making that money, right? 350,000 is the top 1% of wage earners. Do I expect you to go there? No. But if you start working for that, working towards that, gosh, quickly, how can that change? Right? There are many times in our life where we can't see the future. And I was in class the other day and I reminded people about the energetic exchange. And I didn't put this on a slide, but it's worth writing down. When we are in lower energy conversations around being able to see our future, when we're has lower energy, our thinking requires have to show me, right? Lower energy thinking requires material world proof. The reason I want you to move into prosperity mindset, the reason I want you to move into this higher energy space is because higher energy uses conscious choice as the proof. I choose to do that. I choose to move that way. That's all the proof that someone working in mindset needs is the conscious choice. Higher energy uses conscious choice as proof. Lower energy requires material world proof. Show me first, and then I'll know it's true. Whereas higher energy says, I know I can make that happen. That's all the proof I need. And that's the turning wheel, right? That's the scar of scarcity, and that's the joy of energetic, of staying completely tuned to your own thought. Here's one. It's funny, Margaret and I have had this conversation in the past about homelessness and ways that we do it. So I actually, Margaret, I heard you were coming, so I actually went back and changed this question because this was something that bothered you, is homelessness, right? Of knowing that you wanted it. And not that I'm saying, Margaret, go work on homelessness. I'm just saying, this made me think of you, right? I am no longer willing to accept homelessness. I directly support people in the community to build a sustainable life. And that for you may not be homelessness, it may be hunger, it may be something, but there's something in the world that you may no longer be willing to accept. What is right? What is it that is in the world that you are no longer willing to accept? And the conversation goes, and I will directly support that change. And I will directly support that change. So here we are back to Mecca. And that's her first poster right over her head. So yeah, that's her own selfie. She got to take her own picture for her own sign, for her own first show. And she wrote her own bio. So we're going to come back. I'm going to stop the screen share. And I'm going to ask you what was revealed. Kimberly, I'll start with you. Anything that revealed itself to you?
Actually, I just went through the process actually last week of kind of clarifying my thoughts. So I had a unique experience that I was able to read each of these things and not feel any disbelief. Like it all felt really comfortable. My things were a little bit different maybe, but I was able to fill in those blanks and feel that energy of forward motion. So that felt really good.
Yeah, yeah, that's really powerful. Andrew, give us what came up for you.
For me is like, how can I bring the belief every day on
Yeah.
it? Some days you have it, some days you don't. My weeks are a roller coaster of emotions, high stress job. So it's like, how do you get that consistency?
Yeah, how do you get it? Exactly. Fabulous. Margaret, what came up for you?
Um, Two of them resonated. I'm proud of the awards and achievements, but the one that really resonated for me was this year I'll have a huge positive impact on my family because that's been kind of churning under the surface of some other changes that I need to make and some projects I want to complete that would push forward a lot of things for people around me. So when that came up, I went, oh yeah, that. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, that.
oh yeah,
Right? Oh yeah, that. That's the work. That's the work. Sandy, anything come up for you?
So I always think, like to be a higher achiever, I'm just going to be too busy. It's going to be so hard. I'll be too busy. And I think I need, extra downtime. And I do also about what Andrew said, how can I bring this belief every day? So like I feel like I go in spurts. Like if I'm super effective and focused and good, and then the next day I might need a little breather.
Yeah, yeah. And that's about tempo, right? That's also being emotionally present with what's your tempo. You can't run a marathon every day. So it's really saying, how do I manage this tempo or give honor to my own energy,
Okay.
right? How can I honor the energy of what I have? You can be great on Monday and tired on Tuesday, but you'll be back on Wednesday, right? So
Okay.
so part of emotionally present is being honored honoring the energy that is present, honoring the journey that is uniquely yours. Yeah, I love it. Okay, Marge, tell me what came up for you.
I feel exactly like Andrew and Sandy about the flagging energy, the tempo of some days. And I do know enough that when I have a really high high, the next day is often a low low and vice versa. I mean, and it just seems to work out that way. But it bothers me. But today I did take my kids to the airport at 4:30 in the morning. So that is part of my flagging energy for today. But I did feel like that I'm going to have a huge impact on a community, of course, because of the inn and the Peterson thing that I was involved with this week. So
Yeah,
that'll
yeah. And
that
and
that resonated.
and I love that all of you are understanding that there is a time for something and a time for rest.
Yeah, Mickey, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. Come on in.
I think there's two things we're talking about because I know that's one of the ways in which a year ago I felt very, very stuck. because of that energy. I've had a lot of health issues. I came through a period of really intense grief that had, you know, profound impact on some of the ways I thought I needed to move forward. And for me, I actually didn't realize that what I needed to do was sit still and do some of the foundational work. But as I kind of have come back into the doing, I have that same thing with the energy. But I think there's a difference between a prosperity mindset and trying to keep those positive, what did Mickey call them? The anti-scarcity statements, like having that, what Andrew was saying, how do I keep that, how do I keep those positive statements and keep that positive mindset and the energy piece? Because we can reframe the energy if we're going in spurts, if we're sprinters, then instead of, I think, beating ourselves up or feeling like we're not accomplishing something because we're not a long distance runner, then we just reframe the way that we have shaped our paradigm to set it up for sprinters. So, you know, in project management, there's the old way of doing it, which is really the long distance running, and then there's this whole new framework that's been much more popular the last 10 years where you set it up as sprints because of people's energy. So you can even set your work week that way, or set your work day that way, or set your to-do list that way. So I stopped having 20 things on my list and I only put 3 things on my list. So I have a list for the week, but I only put 3 things on each day. And when I did that, I actually got more than 3 things done because that space that it created for me created movement. And so I was like, oh, I did those 3 things and I can pull another one. And on the lower energy days, it's like, I did those 3, I'm good. So I reset the expectations to align with those beliefs, but I don't have to compromise those beliefs. And I don't know if that makes sense or if that's helpful, but that's really the difference between when I kind of tried to face these things a year ago and when I read these through today. It's not that I feel that I'll have the energy to do all of it all the time, but I do have a foundational confidence that I'll find a solution, kind of like Mickey with her cutting out today, you know,
Right.
that's a little bit of a challenge, but she just found a way. I'm going to, you know, sign in again, and I'm going to use the speaker from this one and the video from this one, but her confidence that she could make it work was unflagging. So I think that's the energy that we need to pull in.
Yeah, I mean that's the hard part that I found on my end. Like, you know, Kimberly mentions like, well, if I didn't have a good day, at least I got 3 things done. Is like with me, it's like celebrating like, oh, like yesterday I was ill, wasn't feeling so well. But you know, I still sent out like half dozen emails, did a few things, but I felt it was like a lost day and not realize that, hey, look, I still got some things done, even though I wasn't able to make it in the office, you know. Because you know, I want to be at a high level, and it's like, well, I gotta be putting in X many hours, I gotta be doing like 3 times as much, and not saying that, hey, even though I wasn't at my best, I still got something done. You know, it's better than nothing. And not in, you know, basically patting myself on the back, at least like I said, something's better than nothing type thing. And how to be okay with that.
But can you go even one step further than that? Because do you really have to put in twice as you have to put in twice as much or 3 times as much effort to get it done? Maybe you're someone who can do 8 hours of work in 4 hours. Or maybe what you say to yourself in your mind is, I took time to take care of myself so that I can go
Yeah.
into the office tomorrow. I'm glad I'm able to pace myself. I'm going to be better for it. I'm listening to myself. I mean, you can, I think that there was a lot in there that you were missing the good pieces
Yeah.
because you have that idea that you have to do X, Y, and Z to be successful. I don't know that that's necessarily true.
Yeah, that's one of my struggles is like
Mhm.
not realizing that same thing with taking some time off on it and just say like, hey, I need a refresh here. Because always gotta be, I mean, I'm self-employed, so it's like always gotta be moving forward. Like I'm always worried making sure it's like all right, I gotta make sure I cover bills this month or this week or whatever. And having the wherewithal to be like, oh, hey, at least I did something, and the chance we did nothing. That's it's tough. I mean, a lot of things I listen to motivational videos every morning, and it's a lot of it just like, from successful people. And it's like, oh, you got to work 12 hours a day, 15 hours. You just got to go get it done. And I realize, like, well, I'm sure they have days off too, you know.
I have something to add here because this resonates with me. I've had those feelings, and we live in a culture that does not frame kindness to self.
Yeah.
Right? Just file this under yesterday, same thing. I don't know what's going on yesterday, but and I too, and I thought, you know what, this is just how today is. And but we don't have I mean everyone on this call is working hard. I mean, I don't think there's any real slackers here, but kindness to self. And sometimes, I stop and think if somebody called me and told me this, would I say, "Oh gosh, I'll talk to you tomorrow. That's fine. Get this done, then we'll be fine." I need to do that for myself some days too, for what it's worth. Kindness to self. Yay.
Mhm.
And I love that part of it, right? That it is kindness to self, but I'm going to give you this new narrative because part of that is false narrative. The false narrative is also a limiting belief. So when you're looking at what is the false narrative, that is a limited belief. Different conversation. So sometimes what we're talking about is a false. I don't know what's going on with our internet around here, but
well, it's chancy.
it's so chancy right here. And I've moved locations since while you guys were talking, so we'll hope if that kind of comes up. But there's a false narrative about the energy of time, right? How much do I have the energy to do? And that false narrative is effort versus result. That we are sure that we have to put in this amount of effort because the narrative we have is that if we don't put in that amount of effort, we won't get this result. And that's also a limiting belief. So that I have to do these things to get this result. And that's not always true. If you've ever had something just sort of fix itself, I'm not saying the world fixes itself, but sometimes you don't have to do anything. Right? That sometimes resting is the repair. Sometimes coming in with a fresh mind is the repair. So it's changing the false narrative that your effort has to look like something to get the result that you want. And that is sometimes a false narrative that if you're looking at business, I'll give you an example from, just those of you who are in real estate, right? You can have 10 sales, but those 10 that are at the low end are still not worth as much as 5 sales at the high end. So the narrative that you said is I have to have 10 sales, but the reality is that that you may only need 5 sales. You may only need 5 sales at a higher volume, right? And that really is that conversation of that I have to do this much effort to get this much result. So opening your mind, I think that's wonderful. Anybody else have anything that spoke to you?
I think one of the things, besides being kind to yourself, is
Sandy's
patience.
hopping off. She's got to go to her next thing. Bye, Sandy. Yeah.
People, you talk about things fixing themselves, and lots of times we're not willing to be patient enough to see the result. And that's hard sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's because I got talking about this with someone. I don't know, Mickey, we might have talked about when we talked on the phone the other day. Is like, you got to kind of remind yourself, not only where you're at currently, but look where you're at a year ago, look where you're at 3 years ago on it. So is it really that bad? You know, putting in perspective. I mean, I try to tell that to some of my clients is they don't, not everyone knows where they're at. They just remember where they came from. And so it's like, you know, I know for me in my business, I look back 2 years ago, I'm like, wow, I'm like light years ahead. So is it really that bad? You know, and it's the hard part is, you know, when you come with goals, you know, goals really are just kind of an arbitrary thing. You're just putting something out there. And, you know, we feel great when we hit them, but we feel probably even worse when we don't. And just remember, it's like, well, it was just a goal, you know. I do a marketing plan every year, realize a lot of my goals, I only hit about 70% of my goals. Was that really bad? I mean, my goals are really high. So should I really be that upset that I didn't hit all of them? You know, and just really try to keep proper perspective. And that's again, that's a challenge. Um, but just maybe taking, if anything, taking time to really reflect and really take a look and sit down and then celebrate your win on it. So, you
Right.
know,
And that's about, again, really knowing what is in your highest self good. Your highest self good. Remember, you hear it from me all the time, right? That you all only have one target, right? Your target every day is that you are there to say, right? It points, if you can answer it before me, right? What is your to be well within? Right? That's the only target you actually have to hit every day. Am I well within? Right? Am I sick to my stomach? Is my heart sick? Is my whatever? But your goal every day is to be well within.
yeah.
And that is actually where you want to be setting up your goals. Is how do we fill the well, right? The deep, dark, pit of ourselves that is filled with all of the magic and the vigor and the delight and the relationships and the heartwarming things and the sparkle and the stuff, right? We want that well to be a magical place for ourselves. So, but it is also to say, make sure, like, hey, I am well within, that my well is still delicious, that it is still good to me.
I think one of the best tools one of the tools at least that's
Kimberly, I
been
see that you
really,
wanted to say something. Do you have something to add to
oh,
that?
yeah, one of the things that I think has been really helpful for me in this, discussion that we're having is I just gave myself permission to or use the tool of reframing. So just everywhere. So if I found myself saying, so for example, I worked in project management and I was new to an industry, and people were seeing that as a reason not to hire me in a different industry. What I found was that coming in as an outsider, I had a different perspective. It was actually a superpower. So I turned it on its head and used that as a selling point. Or if I find myself with some negative self talk, I just stop right there and then, and I look around and I say, how can I frame this differently for myself? I've been working on this. I mean, it was the biggest thing in getting unstuck. Doing things in 15-minute
Yeah.
increments
And
or in
there is
blocks, and then reframing.
Yeah. So again, there's a reframe video, so use that. Kimberly, what's the um, emotional abundance that reframing gave you?
Wow, I don't know if I've thought about it that way. The emotional abundance that reframing gave me, um, I think it now I haven't thought about this, but just off the top of my head, I think it made me feel more in control of my own narrative, more my personal power, So I think that generally when I'm engaged in negative self-talk or I'm feeling badly about my performance or my metrics, it's because I'm thinking in terms of an arbitrary or external viewpoint on myself. And then when I reframe, I'm actually digging for what I think of the situation. I'm looking for a different way to look at it. And that always works better, and it's often truer. I don't know if that makes sense. It's because it's like my truth versus this arbitrary other.
And that's your A, right? That's the A. And I watched Margaret's brain just go, yep, I got that. Which is that you have to learn your own truth. And in order to do that, you have to be emotionally present with yourself, with your values, right? You have to be emotionally present, and you have to know your highest good.
Yeah.
Right. We
For
with that
me, asking
conversation
the
of what is in my
question,
highest good, doing with who you are.
for me,
Yeah.
asking the question, what if, helps me move forward when I'm bump into something that I'm thinking I can't do or whatever. So what if I had $1 million? What if I had this? What if I did that? And I think that leads to an expansion. What if?
Yeah. What if, right? That's
like
really
that.
powerful. And sometimes you'll hear me say it as if. You'll see that in today's slides as well, right? Let me act as if I already had that thing. Okay, this is powerful, powerful work. I'm going to come back to sharing our screen. And here we have Mecca again, right? Welcome back, right? Welcome back. And nothing was harder, right? And see your most personal thing. Blanc, for those of you who haven't come, please come. This is the what if, right? What if we could have an annual party where 4,000 people come and have a picnic, all wearing white, and it's free, right? That is Dinner en Blanc. And that's Abby's question, right? Abby had to ask the question of what if. She saw this in something and she's like, wow, I want that in Minnesota. And now it's 14 years strong. And people actually bring a pony. They bring a little white pony. They bring a giant Welsh rabbit. People come build dance floors. It's amazing. So even though you think, oh, wow, how can that happen?
When is this? When is this annual?
You are looking at how do you try on a new vision? And exactly what Kimberly, so it changes every year. It's in a different location. They only announce the actual location. So they'll always give you the date. So Abby will give you the date. It's on a Facebook page. And it is Dinner en Blanc. It's always in Minnesota, the Minnesota version. You can tell it's always when it's beautiful out. And so they give the location 30 minutes before so that everyone has an equal opportunity to get a great spot. And everyone wears white, and you are in charge of your own picnic with your own friends. You pack all your stuff in and you pack all your stuff out. And it is a wild party. For me, I have worked really hard to build diversity in that environment. So for the last 3 years, that's what I've focused on is I just don't need to see solid white people in this. So
Yeah, wear white, don't be
I
white.
bring more communities to the event because I have more communities.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's okay. You get to be white, but we're also right. Let's bring in Asians and Mexicans and everyone can enjoy this space. So this last year was the most integrated I had seen that party. And that only took 36 months. So for me, it was to say, what if I could see people really celebrating together, right? How do we really build community? So that's the what if I brought to Abby's model. And it was the funnest year of ever. So many times you may see something of what if, what can I try it on? Now, I want you to think about this picture right on. I chose it for a reason. This is actually from Kentucky. And if you look at that and see meringue pie, we will see something based on what we think we see, right? We will see something we will see what we think we want to see. And mashed potatoes will look like a dessert if you like sweets, is the conversation. We often don't have the ability to see something differently. Even though I've looked at this picture 100 times, I will then say to myself, it's mashed potatoes that looks like a dessert. I can't reframe my idea that this is what mashed potatoes are supposed to look like. Right? Again, limiting belief. Limiting belief. So it's easy to see something differently and not count it as a limiting belief because it still looks like it could be a meringue pie. Right? I'm not willing to reframe the fact, right? So one of the things that you want to do is you want to really define the cake of your life, right? The things that are delicious and bountiful and really looking at that it can look like something different. And those are the things that make us happy, And for those of you who may have done the How Journal class with me, we will have another How Journal probably in the summer. But, you know, you're going to ask the questions differently, right? And that is having the statement with a constraint. So it is a statement that also has a constraint and a statement of benefit. How would I benefit from earning 30% in more? So, right, that's also a question that pushes at results versus effort. Right? That to say I can get higher results with less time of me efforting, right? It's really to say, how can I spin my brain to do that work? One that I ask people all the time for business owners is, you know, how could you benefit from somebody giving you an accounting statement every month? So I'm asking the question, and then I'm putting a constraint, usually around time or something, another hard element. So not just saying, I didn't finish the sentence at accounting statement. Would I benefit from an accounting statement? No, how would you benefit from knowing your math every month? Right? How could I benefit from somebody giving me an accounting statement on all of my wealth every single month? How would I benefit from that? Which is, right, how does having superior health impact me, positively impact my business profitability every single day? Right? Having superior health, how does it impact my business's profitability? Well, it's a big deal. And when you feel the feels around that question, the reason I invite you to say the question out loud or to take a picture of the question so that you can take that question to yourself another time is so that you can feel the feels, that you can feel what does that feel like. Another question is, how could I be emotionally supported by having 2 weeks off every single quarter? It's easy to go, wow, if I had a trip every single quarter, what would that do for me? Right? How could that emotionally support me? How could that really refine my ability to be creative? And if you're feeling a lot of resistance towards it, now you're getting a chance to have your limiting beliefs come up. Right? Or to come up with the obstacles. If this feels disgusting, great. Let's write that down. Right? How is it? It's not emotionally supportive for me to be away. Okay. Well, maybe that's something you should look at. Maybe that's something that you just are a homebody. But everybody I have found in 25 years has benefited from some breathing space and fit from a little bit of breathing space. The other thing that reframing does, and is that it also helps you as a coping mechanism. That reframing is, I think, one of my favorite coping mechanisms for perhaps past trauma. That this one is actually my husband. This is a reframe for me and for him. So he was running Pikes Peak. He's running up, straight up, and then he's running back down. And I'm waiting for him to come off that mountain. And he's not coming, and he's not coming, and he's not coming. And the race is over. And they're packing up all the stuff. And my husband is still not off that mountain. And the person that's walking next to him right here is the guide who is making sure that no one dies on the path. That when he got to the top, he goes, boy, I'm really tapped out. I shouldn't really take this on, because going down is much harder. So if you run a 4-hour marathon, running that mountain will take you 12. So he's not coming down. I'm asking anyone, did you see anybody on the thing, right? And so he gets down, and he's like, his hands are swollen to twice his size. He's completely delirious. He's got like salt stains all over everything, and he is a wreck. But he is happier than a kid at the circus. He's like, oh, there's my beautiful wife. And the person that's next to him is a paramedic. And that paramedic is someone who is making sure that everyone gets off the mountain alive. And that paramedic said, I'll just keep you walking down. And they walk down together for just chatting, just making sure that I have like a mile to go. Do you want to just jump in the car? And both of them look at me and they go, oh God, no, we're going to finish. And I said, well, they've packed up everything. And the guy goes, yeah, that's fine. I told him to leave just enough stuff so we feel like we're going through the finish line. And so for my husband, his winning was that they saved the finish line for him. That he didn't get a medal. He didn't get any of those awards, but he finished in his own mind, in his own pride, in his own thing, right? That I handed him some water and he goes, oh, this isn't even cold. And I said, well, I've been standing at the bottom of this mountain waiting for you for 4 hours. Yes, it's not cold. I don't have anything cold to give you. But it was exciting for him to go, no, I don't feel like a failure because I'm the last person. You better believe I'm going to walk past that mechanism that will help you understand last, right? It becomes a truth. It becomes a truth. Now, if you're not familiar with just but, I make it into one word because it's just but, right? I just want to do this, but I don't have this, right? Just but. It is a clue. That's a time when you're just budding. When you're just budding, that's a clue that you've got some obstacles. I'm tired of working and I just want to retire, but I don't have enough saved, so I have to keep working. This is the conversation of results versus effort. And this is one that's worth taking a picture of. This is one because it's a bummer. Just buts are annoying. One of the things I remind people about is, I know not everyone enjoys journaling. We have another vision of this with just 3x5 cards. But you want to identify and write your beliefs down. And you want to write them down whether they're limiting or not. But you want to write your beliefs down because you want to check them. I believe I can. I believe I am. I believe this. You want to identify them because it's going to, no matter which way you put it, it's going to give you an answer. Right? If you say, I believe, suddenly your stomach tenses up, you've learned something. And what you've learned, and what you've learned is that there may be an obstacle you haven't seen. There may be a shift that has happened, but most of the time you may find that you have grown because your thoughts, your experiences, and your learning shaped into a greater wisdom. If you haven't looked at those beliefs, you're going to feel some change. So you have to really look at what this is differently. Write your beliefs down. And a 3x5 card is good. Go, I'm gonna write down 5 or 10. The number one item I hear from every business owner in 25 years is this one. This is the number one. And this is that change is too hard. That a new business plan is too hard, starting a new program is too hard, that doing this other thing, changing the way that I'm doing stuff, it is. This is the number one, but it's different than you think. And it's particularly annoying because it feeds into powerlessness. And that's actually the demon in the dark. Is powerlessness. When you believe you can't change, you will not. So when we look at limiting beliefs, I want you to think about the deceptive nature of change is too hard. Because now I'm an action-oriented person. One of the things that I love, right? I'm a math geek. I solve the world with numbers. That's how I think the world makes sense. I like numbers. I like numbers I can track. I like things that I can count off. I like check marks. And that is, as a business owner, you're really going to look at what are the limiting factors here. And some of them might be, I don't have something, but you have to be able to measure that to change. You have to be able to go, where am I now? You have to have a base point to be able to build from. So I am going to encourage you to look at your business numbers, to look at your time numbers, to look at the things that you think are limiting to you. And you only need 5. That when we do this in the 12 week year, for those of you who have been in a 12-week year accountability group, I only want you to do 1, because you have to learn the behavior of how to get something to move forward every day. And when you're looking at limiting beliefs, you have to assess the accuracy of that. Many times, these are lies we tell ourselves. And we tell them because they're comfortable lies, right? I don't know how many times I've lied to myself that I'm a size 18 when I'm a size 20, right? How many times have I lied to myself that I actually fit into this size versus that size? How many times have I lied to myself that this is this or this is that, right? Or the lie that I really like this flavor. I don't know why I keep buying the same flavor of things, but I don't actually like it anymore. It didn't occur to me. I mean, I loved it so much back then, but suddenly I don't like it anymore, but I keep, I'll like it again, right? We have these silly things. We have to assess the accuracy. I used to think that coconut should be in every food in the world, but the reality is that I don't actually, I'm overdone. I'm not into it anymore, right? I don't need that anymore. I'm full on coconut, except sometimes, right? So that's really staying in tune with what we are. So when we look at checking the facts, it's looking at the things and how you're measuring them and what is the tool that you have. If you're going to take a picture of any page for your business, this is the one. It's really to say, what is the limit, or what is, as opposed to the goal, what is the limit? What is the measurement tool you're going to use? What is the target? And what is the achievement list like this? Because we're at 0. And the beautiful part about 0 is that people have that people have this weird relationship to the zero. Zero is most people's enemy. And I remind people about, if I'm going to give you $100 check, I'll be damned if you don't want several more zeros. Right? When zeros are good, when you perceive a zero as good, it's delicious, because you'd much rather I hand you a $10,000 check than a $100 check. And so it is to get over that something is good or bad. It is over to take away the limiting belief that something like a zero is good or bad. It just is. And that is a Buddhist thought, right? That is a Buddhist mentality, is that nothing is actually good or bad. And we are stuck to that belief of right or wrong, black or white, this or that, right? But those are the scars of scarcity mentality, Keep. Another, I guess Shekinah is very popular in today's, also in the 12-week year. This is an activity that we did that actually Sandy Cleland was at. I took a picture of Sandy Cleland on this day. And this was about, this was the year, any of you who follow the summer themes, this was in Superhero Summer, or it might have been in Beast Summer. But this was about being seen and how afraid we are to be seen. So I invited some people down to take some photographs and in a new way, and to be seen. And this was the first time I got some of my favorite pictures of my friends out of this day, and they still use them to this day. But it is, we are afraid to be seen. We are afraid to do something, or we are uncomfortable. Sometimes it's not fear, it is that we are uncomfortable. And one of the things that I remind people about is if you change your friends, they will change you. You also notice that Shekinah was probably in a picture of the white party. And so things that are a little bit cray-cray is they invite you to be a little bit cray-cray. And look for people who still have play, who are still open in their mindset, who are willing to fail openly, because it makes your failing seem like normal business that we're failing. Now, I started this day with, these were the points of our goals today, right? What were our goals today? And this is where you get to really grade me, right? Did you actually learn that, right? Did you get the concept of what we promised out of today's class, right? That you can understand this in decision-making, risk-taking, and goal settings. But it's also the confidence with ourself, right? We see that word as self-confidence, but it is that it's the confidence of the self. And that's what you have to be emotionally present for. And that's that reword is when I remind people is that you are often miseducated on what is self-confidence, right? Of what is self-esteem, right? Self-esteem, that we hold it in great delight. But it is also in self-confidence, it is to say, I'm holding confidence for my highest self. And that means you understand your highest good, right? What is the confidence that I have for myself? And that is a learned behavior. The learned behavior that comes from an unlearned behavior. So the next slide is a reminder that the power that you have out of today's conversation is staying open to your own path. You have to stay open to your own path. And that's the key I'm asking you to do, right? Are you willing to do that? And the wicked fast piece, right? Because I like things that are fast. I'm a speedy kind of gal. And the wicked fast change is to say, what are the resources that you're overlooking? Things to write down, it would be that. And And when we look at what are the resources that you're overlooking, we come to Andrew's picture. Here is the picture of Andrew and I at breakfast and his lesson from just the other day, which is, right? Which is really looking at what, Andrew?
Other people's knowledge, OPK.
OBK. And what from that day, what did you learn from that just 2 days ago? I think we had that conversation.
Yeah, I mean it's to really raise up to certain levels, it really involves the people you're with or around more than just yourself. So, it's really kind of, establishing your network, your partners that you do with, because then that just helps elevate you.
Yeah.
And you can
Yeah.
actually
But it's
market
also
that. You can market that to people. It's like, well, when you mess with me, I shouldn't say mess with me, when you're involved with me, you get me and my team, and this is who includes in my team.
that's right. That's right. That's great advice. So for those of you who aren't using your buddy calls, use your buddy call. That's what they are for. The number one thing I want you to walk away from today was the first assignment that we had, which is really creating that highest good statement for yourself. That is your critical piece. I want to give you two books, a ton of research by Shauna Shapiro, and that is called Good Morning, I Love You. And this is really the possibility of understanding the power from a spiritual business, from all aspects of the research of not just positive thinking, but really doing all of this work that we are talking about today. So Good Morning, I Love You, and she is on Audible too. Another book recommendation I have for you, if you have not done the Emotional Freedom Technique, it looks a little wonky, it feels a little weird, it's perhaps a little woo-woo, but it is great. It is Tapping into Wealth, and that is using the Emotional Freedom Technique. She also has videos online. If you are new to EFT and you've never done it, may have a different recommendation for you, but if you are point with different language, we can talk about that as well. I may have a different starting point for you. But for those of you who are familiar with EFT, there's just, even me who's done a lot of stuff, I think we're able to hear things at different times in our life. And even I could walk into this book as somebody who's talked about prosperity for 25 years and go, oh, this will trigger me to remember something new, or it'll help me understand that I'm at a new place. It was very different for me to look at my own limiting behaviors just so many years later. My last piece for you before I have us pull back together again is the piece of remember, right? Remember that you are magic. And this is my, and that is, magic is often the remembering. It is, sometimes you'll hear me say to you, oh my goodness, did you forget that you are magic? Did you forget? Did you forget that you are magic? Many times, the people around me forget. And so this is the time of the great remembering. Part of limiting beliefs and how to fight them is remembering that you are magic. And that is you having the remembering of the light, the love, the hope, the synchronicity, the strength, the power of change, and the dignity of that all at the same time. It's not that these are compartmentalized. People who magic can do all of that magic. That's why it's magic. That they can have all of that in the same touch, right? So the Midas touch. And this is this is your touch. This is the touch that you bring to the world, is magic. So remember, the key to change, right? This is the one that you have to ask yourself when you leave today. Are you open to challenging and reframing your existing beliefs around success in business? And my question to you personally, are you willing to believe that you're magic? But the only key to change is that you would be open to it. You don't have to change. You just have to be open to change. Because being open to something is the only ask that we can give. That's actually the most important part. That is the most important part. Okay, well, thank you for living through whatever kind of craziness is going on with our internet. Because that was, so what I'm going to do is just go and go, what is your takeaway? Margaret Ernie, and how you've come. What did you take away from today?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yep, Margaret.
Oh, sorry, it broke up and I didn't hear that.
Yes.
The two pieces that are really resonant. I'm just stuck on that word today. This idea of saying out loud, because how it feels really does reveal, for lack of a better term. Well, it does reveal kind of. I often say, like, I have a friend who I'll call and go, just gotta babble. And it's because saying it out loud to someone often lets you hear it reflected back or feel it in a way. So the saying out loud, and then this idea of reframing. I'm really good at getting spun up and really stuck, and to just stop and say, wait, and just even if it sounds crazy, just frame it another way. What if I just didn't do this? What if I just don't do it? What if I just don't call back? What's going to happen? It's a way to stop. And I mean, this happens in EMDR, where the whole idea there is you stop everything so that you can evaluate and then decide if you're going to change it or if you're going to implement something new. And so reframing was also a really big yum. So
yeah, I think that's powerful advice. And OPM, I love it that Kimberly's like, what is OPM? Yes, it's other people's money. I should have got that. It's a wealth term, using other people's money.
Yeah, I've heard it before. I couldn't remember for the life of me.
Yeah, well, that's what
Thank
Andrew's
you,
here for.
Andrew.
He's paying attention.
I got
He's
you.
paying attention. Karen, what are you taking away from today?
Well, I have a lot of work to do. My whole life is turned upside down, so it's a place to start.
Yeah. Yeah, you get to start at something new. Yeah, a new version. Well, we love you for that. Andrew, what's your takeaway?
First off, that Mickey's internet sounds like an old school drive-through, where you're only catching about every third and sixth word. So,
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Well, I will re-record it without any problems, but
yeah,
yes.
well, you understand, Mickey, like that.
Oh gosh,
You're really good at that.
so horrible.
So why don't you put a
on it,
rooster
but it
on
just
it?
reminded me like back when I was thinking like it was a Hardee's not too far away growing up, and it's like we try to go through drive-through, and it's like we want ice cream. They're like, oh, what kind of iced tea do you want? We're like, no, ice cream. Okay. Anyways, for me, it's what kind of mentioned before about consistency, but also celebrating like the little wins as much as the big ones on it, which I think will help from a limit the limiting type beliefs, because it shows that, for me, I always want to make sure I'm making progress, always taking a step forward versus just being busy on it. So I think helping celebrate those little wins will help that. And then it'll just should hopefully compound things to where it's like, And probably thinking about doing this at the end of the day instead of just kind of closing up, setting tasks for tomorrow. It's like, all right, what did I actually sit down and get done today? And taking that little, just it might only be 5 minutes maximum to do that, just helps put you in a better mind frame to when you close your day down.
Yeah, I love that. I love that concept. And that has been a recommendation from a lot of people, is to really review what you put on at the beginning and then review what you actually did, and look at that dichotomy.
Yeah.
Because the things that you want to do sometimes will outwin the things that you have to do. And sometimes that's the right answer.
Yep. Yep. But thank you. I gotta run. I gotta
Yeah.
get prepped for
Kimberly,
11 o'clock.
what's your takeaway?
I really like the idea of this concept of effectively communicating with yourself. So, and then that part of that is that leaning into feeling what the experience and the values and the emotions would be like if you were. So that slide that you had kind of close to the beginning really stuck with me. And then also I need to go out to the Facebook group and look for that dinner en blanc and see if I can coordinate my next trip to Minnesota to be there, because I didn't know that was an annual thing and that looks so fun.
Oh my gosh, you got to come. It's so great. It's so great. I will invite you on Facebook. I will invite you. Okay, well, thank you for putting up with whatever is going on here. But I will send you an audio.
You're stuck on that.
Of today,
So
and that
is
will
this
help a lot.
internet that,
Oh,
that
thanks for
Mark
being
bought
here.
or what?
Thanks for being in your magic. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna fix that, because I'll be mad as hell today. So
Mickey, are you in Minnesota right now?
I am in Minnesota.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I am in Minnesota. I will be here for another I don't know, 10 days. And then I'm in Houston, then I'm back, and then I'm in Indiana twice.
Well, Los Angeles misses you.
Yes, I do miss Los Angeles. I just came back from Los Angeles. And yeah.
Hey,
So,
Mickey, I have to ask you, and I'm sorry about this, Kimberly and Karen, but what I heard that the beloved turkey got hit by the mail truck. What happened? Oop, I lost.
somebody hit him.
Yeah,
Yeah, they ran him over.
yeah, it was a mail truck. I thought I read on Nextdoor, but at any rate,
Well, we don't know, but we don't know. But the Star Trib did a story, and the story is the same actual story that we're having with other things, which is, how do humans live with animals in nature?
yeah. Yeah. All right. I
Yeah.
saw it. Well, I've been traveling and
And
I'll be back, and I saw it happen.
and that turkey did pick a fight with the mail truck every day.
Oh, yeah.
So
When I read it, I was like, oh, yeah, he finally lost. All right.
If it was the
Nice
mail
to
truck,
see
I would understand.
everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And now he lost.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day.
You
Thank
guys
you for
too.
being
Bye.
here.
Bye-bye.
Be sure to look for my audio. It'll be there in about an hour. All right. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye. You're frozen again.